for the establishment of friendship on a firmer and more lasting basis,
for the promotion of brotherly love
and kind feeling,
for the mutual benefit and advancement
of the interest of those with whom we sympathize
and deem worthy of our regard.
We have resolved to form a fraternity,
believing that thus we can most successfully accomplish our object.
Hello, brothers, and welcome to episode 6 of the Theta Omicron Old Gold Pikecast. I'm your host, Dave Pittman from the Theta class, and with me, as always, is Theta O Alumni Association President Jason Hill from the Alpha Kappa class. You may or may not have noticed, but the Pikecast has been on hiatus since right before homecoming. But of course, Theta O has continued to be very active. Jason, how about you give us a little update on some of the things that have been going on since our last episode, which was way back in September?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And thank you again, David, for organizing this. One of the first things to do was just to thank everyone for their support at homecoming. It was Super Homecoming 2019 or 2018, and it went great. A huge thank you to Brother Jade Jones for his work in organizing all of the tent city and the homecoming activities. I know he put a ton of effort into it, as did his family. And so a huge thank you to the Jones family for all of their work on that. And especially all of the alumni who came back that we hadn't seen in years. There were a lot of people that participated, and it was just great to see so many alumni come back, experience the university and the fraternity. And so thank you all for your support in that, whether it was the reception or Tent City or the Blue and White Parade. There were people coming back that we hadn't seen in years. And so thank you all for your support of homecoming. It's something that I know continues to grow. And so I just thank you so much for all of your support in that. We've got Founders Day coming up in March, and it's going to be the similar kind of event to what we've had in the past, one event in multiple locations. And right now we have the Terre Haute event planned at 7th and Elm, so right across the street from the chapter house. And then we're also going to have an event at a new location in the North Indy suburbs. It's going to be in Westfield, Indiana at Urban Vines. And they're both going to be at 6:30 and one event in multiple locations to celebrate Founders Day. And so both of these places are family friendly. We chose Urban Vines because we thought it'd be a little bit different for us. It's a microbrewery and kind of a small winery, so give us an opportunity to have a different atmosphere. And so that's something that if your schedule permits, we would love to see you come out then on that Saturday. So the Pikes Give to Blue Day, this helps a lot. This is the very first time that the ISU Foundation has had this day of giving, and it's going to be March 13th. You're going to see a ton of communication around this if you haven't begun to already. And it's going to be the Give to Blue Day. And what we're going to do as an alumni association and as Pike alums is support the university's giving campaign, and we're going to call it Pikes Give to Blue Day. And so be on the lookout for all kinds of social media communication around that, both from the ISU Foundation as well as from the Pike Alumni Association. We're going to have a matching gift. We've already got an alumnus who has said that whatever money we are able to raise for the ISU Give to Blue Day, they will match it. And so look for that to be coming. If you want to get involved in that or need more information, give me a call. But it's going to be March 13th all day, ISU Give to Blue Day, and it's going to be something that give us an opportunity as Pikes to once again, even as alums, show where we're at and how we can have such a great impact on campus. So the actives are doing it all the time, and this will be an opportunity for us to showcase our alumni involvement to the staff and faculty and to the university that Pikes, even as alums, are still involved in making a positive impact on campus. So that's something to look forward to on March 13th. And then one update, we discussed the chapter Eternal and went through the entire list of the chapter Eternal members on a previous Pikecast. Unfortunately, we did have an addition to that. Brother Mark Duchess entered chapter Eternal in December of 2018. He was initiated in 1988, and I know you'll join me in sending our condolences to Mark's wife, Kim, and to his daughter, Emma.
All right, and thank you very much for those updates, Jason. And I look forward to joining everyone at the Founders Day. Urban Vines, I've been there. It is a very nice place. It's quite fun. So thanks for setting that up for us.
Oh, happy to. And
next we have Brandon is not able to join us this afternoon, but Brandon Basin is the brother who puts all these Military Brothers of the Month features together. And I just think they're outstanding. I want to make sure Brandon gets recognized for his work in doing these. But I'll go ahead and share these slides. So first up is Bradley Funk. Bradley is a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army. He's been serving 12 years now, and a number of awards and medals there. You see he's been in some pretty hot conflict areas in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he's achieved some great work there. So thank you very much, Bradley, for your service. Dave Flynn is a brother from back in my day. He was in the Xi class, and I'm always glad to see somebody who has a single letter in their class. He was a Marine and also deployed in many dangerous parts of the world. Kosovo, Iraq, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Korea, oh my gosh. And look at the medals and honors that Brother Flynn has received over his career. So thank you very much, Brother Flynn. And finally, we have Aaron Walsh, who is an Airman First Class, and he's currently serving in the 122nd Fighter Wing up in Fort Wayne. Look at that, 2014 Wing Staff Airman of the Year. So thank you very much for your service, Brother Walsh. And that brings us to the Venturing Crew 1868. So I'm going to ask Eli Gottlieb to join us now. And Eli is going to be hopping on. There he is. So we're also trying to get Al Perone on, but unfortunately, Al's having some technical difficulties. I believe he's listening in and is just not able to get on this so he can talk with us. But Eli can carry the load for us here. So
Can do.
Eli, you recently got back from a pretty adventurous community service project, and I would like you to talk to us about that and describe what it was. But first, tell us a little bit about who you are and where you came from.
Well, my name's Elijah Gottlieb. Currently in the chapter. I'm a senior, part of the Delta Lambda class. I'm currently going to graduate in May of this year. I'm a criminal justice major, so looking for a job on a police force and working with the community in that aspect.
All right. Well, great. Thank you in advance for wanting to be a first responder for us. All right. So I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you describe what Venturing Crew was and what you fellows did.
Okay. So Venturing Crew 1868 is something that we get to do as the active chapter. It allows us to go through the Boy Scouts and do a lot of these higher end kind of big community service events. This year, we went to Philmont, the Scout Ranch there, which is located in New Mexico. A lot of the guys didn't know what to expect really when they got out there, but they decided, to pony up and get to the table and really get out there to help. What we ended up doing was we thought was a lot more wildfire, like conservation work, but it was actually much more preventative work, where we would actually be cutting back the tree line, kind of thinning out some of the easier to burn stuff, so that if as a fire came down from the mountain, it would work to kind of slow it down a little bit and allow first responders to get in and kind of build fire lines and stop it from spreading so quickly and getting closer and closer to town. So that was the big thing that we overarching did. Working else though, it really helped to build a lot of brotherhood. I don't think a lot of the people thought that going in. I think they saw it as a chance to hang out with the active chapter and really work hard. But it kind of evolved into that. We all kind of embraced what we all had to go through and the hard work and everything. And I think it really built a lot of the guys up as men. And building men is something that a fraternity is supposed to do. And I think we did that in spades there. So we all loaded up in a train in St. Louis. We took some buses that were actually donated to us from alumni Kirk Newtalk. He has a good connection with Enterprise, who he works with. They were able to actually donate 2 15-passenger vans and then a nice minivan to hold all the luggage. Got on down to St. Louis, hopped on a train, and we had about a 20-hour ride there to New Mexico. So got there where the Boy Scouts picked us up and started our week-long of adventure and hanging on out and getting some stuff done up there. So the staff was really good about it. They were very helpful and very informative on why we were there, and I think that helped a lot of the guys in total. It's easy to say that we're going to go do something, but learning the why, the how, and the reasoning behind it is much more important. So spending that week with all the guys and hanging out. If you see the slides right there, that's actually kind of the work we did. Was the sawyers would come in, cut the trees down, and it would be all the Pike's jobs to go ahead and haul them out. So it was a good time, some hard work, but we ended up persevering and getting it all done. And I think they didn't expect how much work we were actually going to get done. So it was a good relationship we're building with the Boy Scouts currently.
That's a pretty massive pile of logs you've got there.
Yep, we carried each one of those down by hand.
What else do we have here?
This slide just kind of goes to show a little bit of brotherhood. These are the kind of scenic views you got and film on all the time, and eating lunch and being up there. We only get about a 30-minute break, but sitting there looking out over the views and understanding, kind of like being at one with nature, really made those lunches really a special moment for everybody. So in this picture, the giant pile of stuff, that is, we would make these piles of the limbs and any sign of just down foliage. And then what they'll actually do is they'll come and they'll burn those piles up just as a way to keep the fire sustained. So when they'll burn it up, it'll actually keep most of the area clear so that fire can't jump to the grass and get underneath of trees and cause those to go up as well. So it all kind of worked out in the end there. We didn't actually get to see the fires get put up in those giant piles. We had some huge piles, 20 feet by 20 feet high. New Mexico actually has an ordinance against burning right now. That actually got lifted in, I think they said January 15th, so those piles are probably gone. And then the safety circles that we would get in every morning, we'd make sure everybody was stretched up, knew what was going on, and kind of the layout of the land for the day.
I did want to ask about one other thing that happened on the trip, and again, Al's not able to join us, but had some excitement with him, right? Can you tell us what happened to Al?
So we all kind of knew that it would be a rough go of it, getting up there in the altitude, and we got there the first day. No one was prepared for it at all. I mean, we'd all worked out and gotten into shape, but there's no shape that can really provide you up to 9,000 feet. And so Al just got the brunt of it a little bit, and he wasn't feeling too hot, so he kind of put the reins on our other advisor, Jack Kenyon. Me and him kind of figured everything out and got it going for most of the trip. But yeah, Al ended up having to take a nice trip over to the hospital, and they had to get him sorted out over there.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Al may be unmuted now and could at least chime in. Al, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can, Al.
Okay, yeah, I'm unmuted. You just can't see me. I've been told I have a face for radio anyway, so this is just perfect. Actually, he is right there. I was not feeling well early on, and everybody assumed it was altitude sickness. But unfortunately, about a month earlier, I had acquired some mold spores, I think, and I had developed pneumonia. So I actually went into the hospital with pneumonia and lesions on my lung, and so I spent 6 days in intensive care and was not released for a week after I went in, and then had to be driven home. Had some people fly out to drive me back. So where everyone thought it was altitude sickness, it was the pneumonia, and that was acquired long before I got out there.
Goodness, and how are you feeling now?
Well, I went back to work for the first time last week for 4 hours a day, and going to do a little more this week. So I am feeling better, and chest X-rays were clear, and it was unfortunate that it had to happen out there, and I felt bad because I abandoned my post as the advisor out there. But like you said, we had two other advisors, and they took the reins.
Well, I think it's an acceptable excuse for abandoning your post in this case. Well, we are very glad that you're finally turning the corner and starting to feel better. And
Thank you.
yeah, you're very welcome. Eli, thank you very much for joining us. What a tremendous experience that must have been.
Yeah, it was a one in a lifetime kind of thing that only going through Theta Omicron I'd be able to do it all. So it was a great experience. Leading those men out there was something that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
That's great.
And,
All right,
and if I just might,
I'm sorry.
If I just might add, the Boy Scouts were extremely impressed with the hard work of our guys. They have lots of groups that come out and work, and our guys were there to truly work hard, and they worked hard every day. And really did, as Eli said, they accomplished a lot more work than what the Boy Scouts were thinking we could get done. And they were impressed with us not only in the field, but also in the dining hall and on the camp and everywhere we went. People knew Pikes were there, and they were very impressed with the work they were doing. So thank you, Eli.
Yeah, thanks. And Eli, with that, I will free you up to go and wish you all the best in the last couple of months of school, and hope you get a job soon and start serving the community again.
Gotcha. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Eli. All right. And Al, way back when I started in ISU in the fall of 1980, that was just a few months after March went mad, not only in Terre Haute, but all across the country. And certainly the state of Indiana was all up in arms about the Sycamores. You were there for it when Indiana State won 33 straight games and went to the NCAA Final Four.
That's right.
You even made some road trips, didn't you?
Yes, we did some road trips. One in particular I remember was to Drake. There were 14 of us that drove out to Drake, and we were being outscored 10-0, and all of a sudden the Sycamores came through, and we had a great victory there, and met lots of alumni that lived in Iowa that just happened to come to the game, and then also went to the Final Four. And I have my tickets right here, my Final Four tickets, which cost $15 for each day. We couldn't even buy our concessions for that today.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I recently went back when ISU had the 40th anniversary game, and most of the tickets were at 1979 prices, which was $3. So that was pretty fun.
That's funny.
That team, though, that 1978-79 team, its success and the attention that it brought to ISU was a major factor in helping me decide where to go to college. For that, I can thank, at least partially, our next guest. So Brother Bob Heaton is now a successful businessman in Terre Haute, owns his own business since 2010, and he's been a state representative for the 46th district. But back then, in 78, 79, he was widely known as the Miracle Man. So, Bob, welcome to the Pikecast.
Well, Dave, thanks for inviting me here. Hard to believe it's been 40 years, but had a reunion last month, and it was a good time to see the guys and to reminisce a little bit. So that was quite special.
That was very fun. So I really just glossed over what you are currently doing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your business and your constituency?
Sure. Well, I own an insurance agency, and I work out of my house. It's Heaton Financial Services, Inc. I've been out on my own probably now about 15 years. I was with the Forest Share Agency downtown for about 18 and a half years before that. And then before that was Northwestern Mutual from 1980 to 1984. But so it's been good. I can't complain. But about 9 years ago, I got involved in state politics, and currently I'm a state representative in House District 46, which includes southern Vigo County, southern Clay County, most of Owen County, and the west side of Bloomington, Indiana, Monroe County, 2 townships there. So I just live south of Terre Haute. If anybody knows where Ivy Tech is, on the south side of Terre Haute, I'm just about a half a mile south of there and about a mile east. So we've lived here about almost 23 years out in the country, so we enjoy the country living out here.
Yeah, very nice. And you grew up sort of in the country out in Clay City.
Right.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But you didn't start it at ISU. You started your collegiate career at University of Denver. Is that right?
I did. So this would have been I started out there in 1975. And at that time, ISU just got a new head coach, athletic director, Bob King. Really didn't know much about Coach King, but I was being recruited by Denver, Rice University, Samford, and Birmingham, Alabama. And I just felt the timing was good to get away, and I went out to Denver for 2 years. And they were independent. They weren't in a conference, and they were going to be playing UCLA my freshman year, as well as some other good quality teams. But and I enjoyed it. I would have not come back to Indiana State if it wasn't for going from Division I down to Division II after my sophomore year at Denver. So. When I came back for spring break, this would have been in March of '77. I met with the athletic director and head coach, Bob King, and I told him the situation. I said, Coach, if you want me back, I'll come back. And he said, well, come on back and we'll give you a full ride scholarship for those 3 years. I'd have to redshirt a year, but it was good timing, needless to say, and it worked out well.
Yeah, well. We're glad that that all happened. And so this was around about the same time as a fledgling fraternity was forming on Indiana State's campus too. How'd you get involved with Pikes?
Well, I tell you, it was Ed Pease. You know, Ed was instrumental. I just had all the respect in the world for that guy, and knew his sister Debbie as well. But I just felt like it would be good fellowship at that time with being with the guys and continue those relationships over the years. So, but Ed, I give him a lot of credit for that, and I respect him very much, and I'm glad I joined.
Yeah. Which class were you in? Do you recall that?
I was a charter member. It was the Alpha class.
All right.
And, you know, so if I'm going to jump in with both feet, I might as well make it a big splash and do the very first class. So it was good.
Yeah, great. So were you aware that Al and some of the other guys were making those road trips to follow you guys across the country?
Well, I forgot about that, but I do remember now when Al mentioned it, going out to Des Moines. And as he would probably remember, I think Veterans Auditorium, I think that's the name of it. I think at the time it held about 10,500 people, and it was packed. I think that night it held 11,000 people. But you know, when we played the teams that we played away games, they were it was their game of the year, if you will, because of Larry Bird and the season we had going. So and that was always fun. But it was. We had to have that attitude going into their auditorium or arena that it was us against the world that night. Mm-hmm. So thinking about Las Cruces, New Mexico, playing New Mexico State, they had a big crowd, of course, at the Pan American Center, but it was a lot of fun. Once you keep winning, it seems like things just go quite smoothly and fast, but it was a time that I'll never forget.
Yeah. But I would say not everything went all that smoothly. There were some really close calls during the year or two. One of them, you mentioned New Mexico State. That's where the shot happened, where time was running out and we were down by 2 points in regulation. I believe there was a missed free throw, and balls. Alex Gilbert, I think it was, threw it out to you around half court, and you lofted one from about 50 feet, kissed it off the glass. I'm sure you called glass, right?
Well, that's the other day that I did not call bank. I didn't call. It was actually Alex and Larry Bird, Alex Gilbert, and Carl Nix. They fouled out during
all three
regular time. But so basically, and then Greg Webb was shooting a one-on-one, and but we had 3 seconds to go. But everything just had to fall in place. First of all, he'd have to miss it, and then it went right to Brad Miley, and he rebounded the ball and made a perfect pass to me. And I just caught it and I threw it up there. And as I tell people, when the ball was about halfway to the goal, it looked like it was going to go over the bank board. And but it was just, I had to arch it quite a bit, I guess. But it went in, and the crowd just couldn't believe it because they were getting ready to come onto the floor, and they were all yelling 18-1, anticipating we're going to lose that first game.
Yeah.
But obviously that wasn't the case. But what really completed the shot was that we were able to win in overtime.
Yeah.
As I tell people, a good high school team, I think, could have probably beat them in overtime because they were just so withdrawn from for the long shot that I made. But it was. And they would score a basket or something, and their fans would almost barely clap. But it was fun and something I'll never forget.
Totally demoralizing. Great. And too bad it wasn't in the era of the three-pointer, or you would have won the game.
Right. Exactly right. But it was one of those things. We were all happy and we won, and we went out to dinner that night. But and it was. We were still riding pretty high the next day, but we flew to Tulsa, and because we were going to play Tulsa on that Saturday night. So when we got into Tulsa the next day, we were going to go to practice. We were going to practice at Oral Roberts, and as we're down in the lobby of the Hilton, I think it was ABC National News was on, and they happened to show my shot at that time. And I saw that, and right then I thought, wow, thousands of people just saw what I saw on national TV. They were showing my shot. And that's right then is when it hit me like, wow, this is something else.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun and a lot of good memories from that season. And we just kept it going, and having a 6'9" college All-American named Larry Bird on the team made it a lot easier as well.
Yeah, I bet that made it pretty exciting. When I went back to the game, the 40th anniversary game, just a couple of weeks ago, picked up this magazine, which was phenomenal, and I've read the thing cover to cover twice now. But what I had forgotten, and I'm sure you have not forgotten, is that obviously that shot was pretty amazing, but you had several other game winners after that kept the streak alive too. Which ones stand out for you?
Well, I would say probably the Arkansas game. Now that was 20-some seconds ago in regulation. We were tied. I think it was 71-71, and so we're trying to obviously get the ball to Larry, but he was guarded quite closely by Sidney Moncrief, one of the better players from Arkansas. And as it just turned out, Steve Reed had the ball. I just happened to kind of look back thinking that he's going to take the shot. He had a wide open, probably 16, 17 footer, but he passed me the ball at the last second, and I threw it up left-handed, thinking that Scott Hastings, who's a 6'9" freshman player for Arkansas, was close by me, but it turned out that he wasn't. But I used my left hand to shoot the ball, and it went in, but bounced around and then everybody did brush the floor after the shot to win the game. It was again, all those things happen so quickly, and you just have to react accordingly. But that was a big shot, and I get some people say, well, that shot kind of led us to the Final Four, which it did. But then maybe if it wasn't for that, there would be no Larry Bird, Magic Johnson matchup from college going into the pros. But so again, one of those things, and it was a lot of fun, and it's nice to go out to Salt Lake for the Final Four.
Yeah. So what was it like representing a small school? Now they call them a mid-major. I don't think that term was around back then. But right. You were like the first really, truly small team to make it to the championship game.
Yeah, it was, it was, even though we were undefeated, and Michigan State, I think, had lost 7 or 8 games. They were probably maybe favored. I think, I don't recall, but I tell you, I give them a lot of credit. They had Irvin Johnson and Greg Kelser and Ron Charles and Dave Benson, along with Terry Donnelly, but they had 4 starters who 6'7", 6'8", that pushed us out, further out, because of that zone defense that they played. But and Terry Donnelly, the other guard on the team, he was probably 6'2", 6'3", left-hander. I think he shot and hit about everything he threw up there. But it was I give them a lot of credit. They pushed us out, and I think Larry was 7 for 21 from the field. I was 4 for 14, and we just didn't have it that night. But again, it was a time in my life I'll never forget. But it was a lot of fun. It's just hard to believe it's been 40 years since that time in my life.
Yeah, time flies, as they say. So when you were back for the 40th anniversary game, what was that like? Are there guys that you hadn't seen since then?
Well, we had, it was a lot of fun seeing everybody. Rod McNally wasn't able to make it back. He was in Pittsburgh or maybe Philadelphia, someplace that he just recently moved out to, I believe. But he was the only one that didn't make it back. But it was just good seeing everybody else. And of course they worked around Larry's schedule to make sure he could make it back. And he's been down in Florida this winter. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot of fun to see the guys. About 5 years ago, when they put up Larry's statue near Home and Center there, I think most of the guys came back for that. Okay. So that was like 5 years ago that we kind of got together and did our reminiscing about the season and all. But it's always good to see the guys and see how they're doing.
Yeah, never gets old, I'm sure. Right. Rod McNally was another Pike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other memories you want to share with us?
Except I'm.
I know one I want to ask you about. You were, I believe, on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Yes, I was, and I didn't realize it until a week after that game that Magic Johnson was dunking over me. It had my best side. When as a little kid, I read Sports Illustrated, and I thought, man, wouldn't it be something to have my name printed in Sports Illustrated? And it's of course I had my name, but also the picture. It's one of those things you kind of dream about, but you just never know. But it was fun, and one of those things that is pretty special.
Indeed. Well, Bob, I thank you very much for coming on. It means so much to me. As you heard, you didn't know it, but you had a big role in influencing my life, and I'm sure thousands of other students at ISU over the first couple of years after that team. So thank you very much for the memories. Thank you for joining us on Pikecast.
Hey, David, thank you. Appreciate it.
And with that, I just want to thank everyone for watching the program today. And remember, tell your buddies to watch the replay if they missed it live today. Till next time, bula bula.